So what I'm going to show you how to do now is add text to video clips that are in your Premiere Pro project. Adding text is pretty simple, and you can do it in two different ways. The newer way to add text in Premiere is to use the type tool in your tools here. A lot of people first learned how to add text in the older way, and I will show you that way today. So what I'm going to do is I want to add text to my video, and I actually want to add text over top of this first video clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the top menu. I'm going to select File. I'm going to scroll down until I see New Legacy Title. And you can name your titles if you want to. I'm just going to use the default text there. And now what I have here is my text box. I like to just use the type tool. Some people draw in their box first, but that limits the size that you can make your text. So I have the type tool selected, and I'm just going to type whatever it is I want my text to be. And now after I have that finished, I can use my selection tool to position that where I want this text to be at, and just really move it anywhere on this shot. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the menu on the right, and there are a lot of different options here. I'm not going to go over all of them, but the first thing you'll probably want to do is select the font that you want to use. And I'm going to scroll around here. There are a lot of fonts that Adobe has, and I'm just going to find one that I like. You can explore those a little bit. But once you find a font that you like, you can kind of size it and explore some different options. So there are a lot of different fill types that you can use. For this, I'm just going to try to use a simple little gradient. Go from a dark blue to a light blue. And I'm going to add an outline to it. So I come down to outer stroke and I click add. And maybe I want that outline to be white. So I'm just going to make that white. And then there are two important buttons over on the left. And those are your Centreline buttons. I can align this two different ways, and now I know if once I click those two buttons that this text is perfectly centered. And once I have it exactly the way that I want it, you can always go back and change it later. But once I have it the way that I want it, I'm just going to close it. And that text is going to come into my media. And I had this folder selected when I made it. So that text is right here in this folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this text over top of that first shot, and I'm going to drop it. And now that that text is in my project, I can make it as short or as long as I want it to be. And just like you can add transitions to your video clips, you can add transitions to your text as well. So if I go to Effects on the left, and I go to Video Transitions and Dissolve, and maybe I put a little cross dissolve on the beginning and end of that text, it will fade in, it will stay for as long as I want it to stay for, and it will fade out. Okay. One other thing that you might want to play around with is you can add video effects to your text. Sometimes you can create some pretty cool effects by doing that. So if I come to Video Effects on the left and I go down to something like Generate and I click on Lens Flare, while I have the clip selected in my timeline, I'm going to double click Lens Flare. And now you can see a little bit that lens flare has been applied to this text. I'll show you later a little bit more about animating your effects, but I'm just going to animate this here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that at the beginning of this shot I want that lens flare to be right at that position. So I'm going to lock in those coordinates, and then at the end of the shot I want that lens flare to have moved something like that. So when I come back and play this, you'll see that I have a little lens flare on my text, and that's just a little something extra that you can do once in a while. You probably won't do that very often, but if I move this text over part of my project that has no video, I can see what that looks like a little bit more, just with a black screen in the background. And we just have a little flare on the text. So that is very simply how you add text in Premiere Pro. If I wanted to use that text as a template, what I could do is copy it and then paste it. And before I drag this into the project, I'm going to double click it. I'm going to change what it says, but it's going to keep everything that I want. I'm going to recenter that and close it. And once I close it, that new text is right here, and I can add it into my project. And now I have a template of my text that I could use as many times as I want to. But you just have to make sure that you change what the words say before you double click and change what it says before you add it into the project, because it will change everything that you've added previously. So very simply, that's how you add text to your video, and we'll do another video soon on how you can use the new type tool that's in Adobe. But the old way is just File, New, Legacy Title. You get your text screen, you type, you close it, and you add it into your project.